And now Jeff Corle joins us live now. Great story by Rachel Pellegrino, by the way. But Jeff, thank you so much for being here. I want to pick your brain a little bit just on Empty Barn. When you were writing that song, playing that song for the first couple times, did you ever imagine that you'd be sitting here, that you'd be making an impact on so many other people's lives?
No, absolutely not. Like I said in that piece, I only ever wrote the song for my own therapy, to get what was in here out. And unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I made the mistake of playing it for someone, and that someone insisted that I put it up on my farm's Facebook page. I didn't even have a music page or a website or anything. So I just made a smartphone recording and put it up there and made it available for download, and walked away and came back and was shocked to see a few hours later that it had been downloaded over 300 times. And I said to this friend of mine, now look what you did. Now 300 some people know what an emotional sap I really am, but it only went downhill from there, because then it started to get shared in farming groups, and it just started to get downloaded thousands and thousands and thousands of times. And yeah.
Unbelievable. And you were chatting with some of the other guests we had here on the show today. It seems like everyone just wants to thank you for the way you've moved them, the way you've helped them through tough times. And that is what I love about your message about everything, is that, you know, people like you, they're supposed to look tough, act tough, and sometimes that's just not always the case.
Yeah, well, absolutely. It's a point that I make in my keynote concert. So when I speak to groups at conferences, organizations, whatever, I always say that guys that look like me are usually not the first ones to raise our hands and say, can I tell you how I'm feeling? And what I learned from my own experience and from talking to others is keeping that emotion, especially if you've been through a loss or a trauma, keeping that bottled up inside is the absolute worst thing you can do. Now, you don't have to write a song about it, but you do have to go to somebody and say, hey, I'm going through something and I need to talk to you about this.
Can you think of a particular instance where someone came up to you and just told them how you kind of maybe changed their life?
Yeah, I spoke a little while ago at the National Farmers Organization out in Coralville, Iowa. And I always tell my story, and that leads into me performing Empty Barn. And I noticed when I was telling the story that a guy sitting up close to the front looked like he was getting kind of emotional. And then when I played the song, sure enough, he wiped away tears a couple times. And this was a guy who looked like me, a big guy with a big beard, bib overalls, ball cap on. And after I played, I was at my table, and he came to talk to me. So he was waiting in line to talk to me, and when it came his turn, I recognized him, so I wanted to stand up and shake his hand. So when I stood up to shake his hand, this guy, I'm 6'2", this guy's taller than me. When I reached out to shake his hand, he grabbed me into a bear hug, lifted me up my feet, knocked my cowboy hat off, and said, that's the greatest song ever. That's the greatest song ever. And about on the third one, I thought I was going to pass out. And finally, he let me go, and I got my hat, and I said, man, what's up? And the story he told me just, broke my heart. He had grown up on a dairy farm. His parents had made the decision to go out of business when he was a senior in high school. He had imagined that his whole life would be taking over the farm, so he was devastated. But at the time, his parents were a little older, and they were having a very difficult time with it. So he decided that he was going to be the strong one in the family, and he even helped make arrangements for the sale of the cows and everything. And when he came to that event that day, he had no idea who I was. He had no idea about Empty Barn, so the whole thing kind of broadsided him. And what he told me, and if I'm not careful, I'll get emotional, but what he told me was, hearing my story and hearing my song, that was the first time he had allowed himself to grieve in all those years.
Well, folks, I'm sure you're going to be moved by his song Empty Barn if you haven't heard it yet. And don't worry, because he's going to be performing it live next after this quick commercial break. Stick around.